And on the show here today, we have the legend, the undisputed voice of the club, Fatman Scoop. What is going on, my bro?
What's happening, man? How you feeling? What's going on?
Yeah, not bad, my brother. How is New York right now, bro, in this times now?
I mean, it's cool. I mean, they were the first to adopt the mask and stuff like that.
I hear that.
People actually listen. So at this point, this is an easier place to move around in than other parts of the country. So, you got to be happy about that, but still no shows, still no clubs, like in a meaningful way, in a way in which somebody of my stature can get out here and work now.
No, I hear that, bro. So let's talk about the career. It's almost, or I should say 30 years plus being in the music game. How has that journey been for you from the start to here now?
Man, beautiful. Like, I've been doing this since professionally, in terms of just being somebody who was trying to be in the business, I would say 30. Professionally, about 25. So it's been good. It's been ups, it's been downs, it's been rocky, it's been amazing. It's been a list of everything. You can't get out of life alive. So,
Sure.
This is how it is.
And that's a beautiful thing, man. So in terms of, from the ground up, I know you was an extra in the Fugees video, Killing Me Softly with Lauryn Hill, Wyclef Jean, Pras, and you were serving popcorn or something, or ice cream?
Yeah, I was serving popcorn. But at that time, you got to remember, at that time, I was already on Hot 97. I was a household name in New York City already.
Nice.
So that, at that time, we were radio DJs. And, I learned everything I learned from Wendy Williams. And Wendy Williams said, you cannot just be a radio DJ. You got to be more. So I immediately got on my job and I said, how can I get more fame and more notoriety? And at that time, all the videos were being filmed in New York City. So I used to go around to every video, get a cameo on every video, and that made sure I was on BT, and that's how I made my name even grow bigger.
So in terms of being from New York, call it like the golden years of hip hop, what was it like to actually be in the midst of all of that?
Man, it was nothing. It was just regular days. Like, you don't know what something is until after the fact. So,
sure.
Just being there was just like living regular life. Now we look back on it and say that was like the golden years, but it was just like getting up and walking around and doing whatever you do every single day. It just so happened that it was an era that will never be forgotten in this game. But it was the same old same to me.
Nice. So did you ever get to meet Tupac or Biggie within your years?
Definitely. I'm so tired. Last night, I worked all night long, man. I worked all night long doing records, getting myself together. I work harder now. Geo, I work harder now than I ever worked when there was no quarantine.
Is that right?
Yeah, man. I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
I'm already up at 9 o'clock London time. Already up.
Our time, yeah, no, 100%.
So, of course I met Tupac. I knew Tupac, I knew Biggie. I had more interactions with Tupac than I had with Biggie. I had a couple interactions with Biggie and I knew him. But I have way more interactions with Tupac. Tupac was crazy, man. Tupac was just that kind of guy. He was like Kanye West. He was a wild dude, man.
Right.
I mean, he was like, one time, he could be hot 1 minute and then cold the whole another minute. He was very unpredictable, but I loved him, man. I loved him. He was a good soul. He was a good heart. The only thing that kind of hurt my soul was like when the whole East Coast, West Coast thing went down, man, because it was unnecessary. And I felt like they were making more out of it. It wasn't East Coast versus West Coast. It was two labels that was having issues. And one happened to be from the East Coast and one happened to be from the West Coast. Had the two people, one been from the South and one been from the East Coast, it would have been the Southeast, hip hop.
No, I hear that still. So in terms of the huge catalog of artists that you've worked with, who has been the most inspirational to you, who you have met along the way?
I would have to say, Mariah Carey inspired me. She taught me that it's never over until you as a performer say it's over. People can say whatever they want. People can say, oh, yo, you washed up, whatever. Nah, it's over when I say it's over. I think as far as the most inspirational person, it would have to be Mariah Carey, because she taught me that. And when I did the first single for her new album, she was coming off a flop. She was coming off an absolute flop with her last album. And I went to her and I said, listen, you don't have to do this. You got enough money. She told me, I'm not quitting until I say I can quit. When I'm ready to go, I'll go, not before then. And I had to respect that.
Still, because that track there was like that with Jermaine Dupri.
Yeah, it was like that.
And that's a big tune, man. I've actually have a mix in store that's going to come up later on in the show, and that is in there, man. So shout out to Jermaine Dupri and Mariah Carey as well.
Shout out to Jermaine and Mariah. All good, man. All good.
100%. So in terms of, I see you doing the whole Instagram interview things going on, man. How's that going for you?
Well, that's good. I mean, that's good. Of course, I live half of my week in England.
Sure.
And, I'm heavy in the English clubs, and I do my thing, and now it's over. So I had to say, what am I going to do with my life? Because I knew enough, because, I'm not saying that I knew what was going on, but I study enough history to know how it goes.
Sure.
So I said to myself, this is not going to be something that's over in 3 months.
No, you're right.
I already knew, I was smart enough to know that I know my own country, America. And I knew that they weren't going to comply.
Right.
So I said, it's going to be in America at least 2 years.
Sure.
And it's going to be in England at least a year. It's going to be everywhere a year just because. But we're gonna have a longer bout with it because we don't listen to an extent. So I said, what can I do to make an income and also have a good time? And the first thing that came to me was start my Instagram Live up. I actually had a backdrop up that I got made right before I went on the Blast Off tour in England.
Okay.
So when I came back, it had fell off the thing.
Right, it just dropped down.
It dropped down because the wallpaper glue didn't stick.
Right.
But I looked at it and I said, you know something? I have to do this. I put it back up with staplers, and I said I sat down for about 3 days, and I said, okay, I'm gonna sit and rest for a minute. And after that third day, I got up and I started getting on Instagram Live every night, and I've been doing it every night since then. In that time, I've interviewed about 60 people in about 4 months or something, 5 months or whatever. And I usually do every day, but there are weeks that I don't do anybody. So if I really was doing it, I probably would have interviewed about 100 people by now. But I did 60, and now people are starting to recognize me for it. And now people are starting to say, hey, do you want to do something? You want to be involved with our platform or whatever? But I put the work in to do that. And I knew
100%.
early that this was going to be something that was going to be a major disruption. I was watching television in England.
Right.
The day before I had to come home. So the day that one of the last days of the tour, because the tour got cut, they said England said we're stopping all mass gatherings of people. And I had one day before I had to go home, I was in I don't know, I might have been in Leeds or something.
Okay.
And I saw this thing, and they were talking, they were talking on the, it was like the stock market channel. And the man was like, well, what's going to happen? And the analyst said, major disruption.
Right. Period. Yeah.
Now, I knew that if he was saying major disruption, it was going to be on a macro level. So I knew on a micro level on the streets, it was going to be absolute chaos.
Chaos,
so I
man.
prepared myself for that. And luckily, some of the moves that I made are starting to work out. Had I started to do this Instagram live a while ago, had I started interviewing artists 3 weeks ago instead of 6 months ago, I would have been way behind the curve. But right now, I'm right where I need to be and in the position and in the pocket to get a job doing this.
Sure.
And this is where I come from, Gio. I come from radio. That's what I did before Fatman Scoop, as you know it, the recording artist blew up. I was Fatman Scoop, the radio personality.
I see. So in terms of this online sort of booming period that we're going through right now due to COVID, we have the likes of Versus TV that's put together by Swizz Beatz and Timbaland. What's your opinions on Versus, and do you feel that this is the future of the music industry?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I've interviewed Timbaland and I've interviewed Swizz Beatz. And I truly believe that it's the future. And look, the effect of Versus cannot be understated.
Sure.
Right after those verses, the sales of music go up like that.
Instantly, yeah, I see.
Instantly. People's social media accounts go up instantly. I think that when this is all over, when COVID is done, you're gonna see Versus tours.
Okay.
So you'll see like Brandy versus Monica versus tour.
That's gonna be sick, Yeah.
And one will do a record, and then another will do a record. You're gonna see a lot of that, man. And you're gonna see Versus in the middle of that. I think what Swizz and Tim did was nothing short of amazing. And not only that, it was the right thing done at the right place at the right time. Similar
100%.
to what happened with D-Nice.
100%. And I love that in terms of being a music fan first and being a presenter second, the booming industry, because I'm seeing the figures like Swizz Beatz even said, the NBA has got less views than us on Versus.
Mm-hmm. Think about that.
So I'm thinking that's just mad levels, So massive.
Think about that. The NBA has less views than Versus.
That's crazy, man. Shout out Swizz Beatz and shout out to Timbaland, of course. So let's talk about your music, man. You got Be Favor with Faith Evans, Lose Control, Missy Elliott and Sierra, Drop with Timbaland, Magoo. The list goes on. How has it been for you in terms of being, as you said, Fatman Scoop, the radio personality, transforming into Fatman Scoop, the recording artist? How's that journey been?
It was really just because I was looking out for my brother. I had no reason to even be a recording artist. I used to be a rapper growing up, but I had no reason to do it. I did it because he had to go to university and we had no other way to raise money to get him to go.
Yeah, that's respect.
And I did it for that. I knew how to do crowd participation because I was taught by Dougie Fresh.
Okay.
So I was just like, it was just a natural thing. And I said, listen, if I can get 400 pounds every time I do this, and I can do this 100 times before he gets out of year number one, I'll have enough money to make this happen. And sure enough, that took place.
That is crazy, man. That is maximum respect, for your brother to get him through college and whatnot. So the biggest party track in all of the world, of course, is Be Faithful, the remix that you had done with the Crooklyn Clan, of course, and all of that. Did you know that tune would be as big as it was?
You never know, man. You never know. Did the guy who made the theme, the Rocky, did he know that was going to be that? No, nobody ever knows, man.
Sure.
You'll never know that. There's no way for you to actually know what's gonna happen. You can only say, "Oh, I think it's dope. I think it's hot. I think people are gonna like this," but you'll never know.
100%.
So I wrote that song laying on a carpet in DJ Riz's house in Staten Island. I never. I knew it was hot. I knew I liked it.
Yeah, 100%.
I didn't know that the world would like it like that. And I didn't know that it would become a staple in DJ's crates forever.
Forever. It is a classic, Even reached to the #1 position in the UK chart over here. It was big, massive. Can you explain to the listeners what it feels like to be on the end of such a commercial hit, from not having that sort of hit to then boom? And that's more in terms of for any recording artist that's listening right now and how they can handle success.
Listen, success only makes you more of whatever you are. If you're an asshole, it makes you more of an asshole. If you're a good guy, it makes you more of a good guy. You know, you know me. I'm the most regular dude ever. I
100%.
talk to everybody in the building, from the CEO to the janitor. So it never changed me. I never wore jewelry. I never had you know, Rolls Royces and stuff. And I could you know, I could afford Rolls Royces, but I never had it. I never felt like that made me anybody. I never wore jewelry. I just had a nice house and, you know, a couple of cool cars, you know, Rangers and BMWs or whatever. But it, you know, it just made me comfortable and allowed me to take care of my family. Other than that, man, I was just a regular old Joe. You know what I'm saying? I talk to anybody. You know, I don't walk around with a bunch of security out. You know, I was regular. I say if you are out here and you're a young kid and you want to, you know, make it in the business, I would say, number one, don't have kids.
Sure.
So get a vasectomy, don't have kids, and don't get married, and don't be in a relationship. Because all of those things are not conducive to being in the music business.
No, that's very true. That's very true.
It
From
has
my own
nothing to do
personal
with
experiences.
sex. It has nothing to do with sex and groupies. It has to do with the fact that you're constantly on the move.
Yeah,
And it
separate.
has to do with the fact that your days of business are regular people's days of leisure. So if you have a girlfriend or a wife, you know, on Saturday and Sunday and Friday, those are the days that they're living, you know, those are the days that they're living life.
Sure,
and,
sure.
And they can't, you can't do it.
100%.
So
Don't
those
have
are,
kids.
you know, huh?
Don't have kids then.
Yeah, you don't. No, you can't do that, because if you know, you can't put your life into getting to a certain place and being the father or the mother you need to be. It's just not. It's not enough time in the day, and it's not possible. And if you really want to do it on a high level, you're gonna have to put it down. Look at Oprah.
Yeah, that's real talk. Yeah, that's real talk, man. So, in terms of the music video for Lose Control by Missy Elliott featuring Sierra and yourself, that was actually a big album as well. That's the only Missy album that I've ever owned personally, because Missy Elliott was kind of booming when I was a bit younger, so I wasn't really buying LPs and stuff. But the cookbook was banging. What was it like filming that music video? Because I believe that won a Grammy.
Man, it was crazy. Like, you know, we were out in the middle of the desert and shit, and, you know, ants and biting you on your feet, and, you know, like, I mean, you know, Missy got bit up because she was in the sand. She got bit up like 800 times on her body because she was in the sand and she was naked in the sand.
Okay.
And the ants, because this is the middle of the Mojave Desert or whatever.
Sure.
The ants were biting the hell out of her, man. So that, you know, there was stuff out there like big ass flies and like that. But I would say that it was one of the most enjoyable experiences I ever had. I loved, you know, being out there and doing the video and all of this stuff. You know, I didn't like how I was dressed. I was dressed like somebody from the 1920s, but, you know, in the big mix of it, it was a really, really cool experience. I liked it. And they wanted to put me in some kind of wild something. And I was like, yo, Missy, please, can y'all just put a white tee on me and just keep it moving? And she did that. Now, I'll never forget her for that. I love her for just allowing me to just kind of be myself and make the outfit that I had on kind of reflect me, while still making it look like I was in the 1920s. And I wound up looking like a farmer.
No, I hear that still. I actually remember the video, man. It's a dope video. And I had that theme, didn't it? So, moving on, what is it like? Because so when my phone rings, you know, living around London and stuff, when my phone rings to go to Birmingham, I get excited. What is it like to be a performer that travels around the world, globally? What is that feeling like? Because I don't know. Please tell us.
I mean, you know, like, it's a blessing. I've gone around, I've circled the globe in terms of like within a 3 to 4 or 5 day span, circling the globe from New York to Singapore to you know, to Dubai, and then from Dubai back home. I've done that kind of thing, you know, I've had at least 60 to 70 trips like that where I did the length of the world in a weekend or 4 or 5 days.
Sure.
I've circled, if you want to put all the mileage up, I've done maybe about 15 million miles of travel.
Sure.
You know what
That's
I'm saying?
a lot of damn miles.
It's a lot of miles. So I've done like 15 million miles worth of travel. I have moved around this entire planet, and it never gets old. I mean,
Sure.
to me, in the beginning of this, I fought bouts of depression because I couldn't go anywhere. You know, I've
Right.
been used to working. I've been used to traveling 48 weeks a year for 24 years
Right.
straight. That's probably one of the longest streaks in entertainment. But then it just all got taken away with COVID, and you know, it depressed a lot of people who do this. And you know, I've heard DJs and comedians and stuff say, "Listen, I don't even care what the price is. I just want to take the work because I need to be on stage."
Yeah, 100%.
And that's that. I understand that wholeheartedly.
100%. No, I agree. It's very sad, you know, on the flip side of COVID, you know, because even I've done a gig here, the private gigs and all that, and it's just it ain't even about the money. Do you know what I mean? It's just about the crack. It's about the enjoyment of it, and to when it's taken away from you like COVID, it is a damn shame. So back in 2015, I just want to touch this briefly because I know that you was in Celebrity Big Brother within the UK. What was that like? Because being a youngster in the UK growing up, you always just aspire to be in, I don't know, the jungle or Big Brother. What was that like? You can tell us. Please
I
tell
mean,
us.
you know something. If you want me to be completely honest with you,
Yeah,
it's
man,
a
100.
blessing that I was on that show.
Say that again, sorry?
It was a blessing that I was on that show
Sure. Okay.
because it made it so I could do this.
Okay.
It made it so that I could do the quarantine and not go crazy.
Ah.
So you telling me I got to stay in my house, but I have internet, I have phone, I have the TV, I have all the entertainment. I don't give a fuck about that. I did a month with nothing.
That's very true.
You know, I did a month with nothing but looking at people every day.
What was it like to be in with them people?
You get to learn people. 3 weeks with somebody with no internet, no phone, no nothing. It's like knowing somebody for 4 years.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's true.
Because there's no distractions whatsoever. There's no distractions. There's no phone for you to turn to. There's no no Guardian newspaper. There's nothing. So you really dig in and you get to really know about somebody when you have nothing else but them to deal with.
That must have been hard, for real.
No, listen. Everything is, the one thing that I learned about humans when it came to that was everything becomes normal after a couple of days.
Sure.
Like, for example, if we said 8 months ago that wearing masks would be normal, you'd be like, get the hell out of here. What are you talking about? But now it's normal.
It's the new normal.
Whatever the situation is, you deal with it for a certain amount of days and then it just becomes your reality.
It's very true. That's very true.
It just becomes your reality. That's it. It's done.
Now, big up, man. Massive kudos for you being in the house. I wouldn't be able to last 2 days in the house. I wouldn't be able to last 24 hours. So,
yo, bro, you'll last in there because you'll get used to it.
You get used. Nah, I hear that.
When I tell you it's nothing, and then you start focusing on stuff. You start focusing on exercise. You start focusing on like little things and stuff, and you just make a routine, and you live with it, and it just becomes a part of your life. You don't even notice it. That's the reason why I could cut off my phone.
Yeah, sure.
I could cut my phone off and not even give it there because I'm used to not having it.
So in terms of Fatman Scoop, the artist, what is next for you in terms of, let's say if, you know, Corona went here, what would be the next step for you in terms of your career?
Next step is, you know, I'm working every day. I'm on a mission to create 300 new records.
Nice.
I'm on number 21 as of today. I'm on a mission to create 300 new records before the quarantine is over. I'm on number 21.
You will soon get there, man. That's big up, man.
I think I'm gonna get there because I don't think this thing is gonna go. I don't think there's gonna be. I think the quarantine as a full will be lifted sometime next year.
No, for sure.
I don't think that the borders between England and the U.S. are 100% open, at least until the end of the year.
Yeah, at least. At the very, very least, for sure.
At the very, very least to the end of the year. I'm hearing a lot of March 2021 will be back in action, and I know that we'll be back fully by the summer of next year. And let me tell you something. That summer is going to be crazy because you're going to have a bunch of people that are going to be like, I haven't gone out in a long time. Anything could happen tomorrow. I could die tomorrow. You're going to have a lot of that. People are going to be out in the streets in full force.
You're wilding out, no, for sure, man. I expect to see you there, man. Just like that night that we did in just below Crawley in London. You know what I mean? That was wilding.
I loved it, man. And that's where I met you. And I respected your DJ game right then and there, man. I said, this is a guy that I want to be around me. And right away I called you. I said, yo, man, I want you, whatever it is, man, just stay in touch with me. You're going to get it.
No, that's love still. Fatman Scoop, thank you very much for joining me right here on Westside. Up next, I got our special mix, a tribute mix, all your hits, half an hour's worth. Check it out. Tune in. It's going to Friday. It's your boy Geo. Say something, Scoop. Say something to the people before you sign off.
Hey, I'm out of here. Be safe. Take care of yourself. Make sure your immune system is right. Stay up and keep listening to Westside Radio. Let's go.
Let's go.